Have you ever felt that strange silence after your pet is gone? The kind that isn't empty, but somehow alive. It's as if their presence still lingers in the corners of your home, in the quiet moments when no one is watching. You swear you hear their footsteps. You feel them next to you. And deep down, something in you whispers that death couldn't have ended something so pure. Carl Jung once said that what we call life and death are only different sides of the same eternal energy. From his point of view, the soul doesn't disappear, it transforms. And perhaps the bond you shared with your pet is not gone at all, but evolving into a new kind of connection, one that your rational mind can't see, but your heart can still feel. Because maybe what dies is only the form, and what stays is the invisible thread between two souls that met for a reason. When a beloved pet dies, the emptiness in our home seems to echo with memories. The food bowl still sitting in the corner, the leash hanging by the door. These physical reminders tell only half the story of what we've lost. But what about the other half? The connection that somehow feels unbroken despite death's finality. Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss psychiatrist, never specifically wrote a treatise on pet souls. Yet his profound understanding of the human psyche and its relationship with the unconscious offers us a unique lens through which we can explore this tender question. Jung developed the concept of the collective unconscious, a layer of the unconscious mind shared by all humans, containing universal archetypes and primordial images. This collective realm exists beyond individual experience, connecting all living beings at a level deeper than conscious awareness. Through this Jungian perspective, the bond we share with our animal companions might transcend physical existence. Jung observed that meaningful relationships create what he called a psychic connection that operates beyond ordinary space and time. These connections don't simply vanish when physical proximity ends. Instead, they continue to influence our inner worlds in profound ways. Consider how we sometimes feel our pet's presence after they've passed. The phantom sound of paws on the floor, the sensation of weight at the foot of the bed, or even glimpses of their form in peripheral vision. Jung might view these experiences not as mere wishful thinking, but as manifestations of a continuing psychic relationship. The energy of the bond transforms rather than disappears. In his work with patients, Jung documented numerous accounts of significant dreams and synchronicities that occurred after the death of loved ones. These experiences often brought comfort and a sense that something essential remained intact. While Jung focused primarily on human relationships, the principles apply to the deep bonds we form with our animal companions, beings who often know us more intimately than many humans do. Jung's concept of the soul differs from traditional religious definitions. For him, the soul, or psyche, represents the totality of conscious and unconscious processes. It's not a ghostly entity that departs at death, but rather the essential pattern of being that might continue in ways our rational minds struggle to comprehend. Jung was fascinated by how ancient cultures across the world shared beliefs about the continuity of essence beyond physical death, not as supernatural speculation, but as experienced psychological reality. Our pets live primarily in the present moment, unconcerned with past regrets or future anxieties. They embody a natural wisdom and authenticity that humans often strive to recapture. In this way, they connect us to deeper layers of consciousness that modern life tends to obscure. Jung believed that animals often appear in dreams as representatives of our instinctual nature, the parts of ourselves that remain wild, spontaneous, and deeply connected to life's rhythms. When we lose a pet, we lose more than companionship. We lose a being who reflected back to us a simpler, more authentic version of ourselves. Yet Jung's understanding suggests that this mirror doesn't shatter completely. The impression our pets leave on our psyches continues to shape us. The love exchanged creates patterns in the fabric of our consciousness that remain active and alive. Jung was particularly interested in the healing power of symbols. In this light, the continuing presence we feel might be understood as the psyche's way of maintaining connection through symbolic experience. These aren't hallucinations, but rather meaningful expressions of a relationship that has moved from the physical realm to the psychological one, no less real for being invisible to others. As we move through grief, Jung would encourage us to pay attention to dreams, intuitive feelings, and meaningful coincidences. These might offer glimpses of how the bond continues to evolve beyond death, not as supernatural phenomena, but as natural expressions of the psyche's attempt to integrate loss and maintain connection with what we've loved. The invisible bond between human and animal companion represents a mystery our rational minds may never fully grasp. Yet Jung's psychological insights remind us that not everything real can be measured or proven. Some of the most profound truths of existence can only be experienced through the heart's intuitive knowing. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. This principle from physics finds a parallel in Jung's analytical psychology. While Jung didn't specifically address pet afterlife, his understanding of psychic energy offers profound insight into what happens when the physical form of our beloved companions is no longer present. Jung developed the concept of libido, not in the limited Freudian sense, but as the general psychic energy that animates all life. This energy, Jung observed, doesn't simply vanish when physical death occurs. Instead, it undergoes transformation. The forms change, but the essential energy remains within the great cycle of existence. This perspective aligns with ancient wisdom traditions worldwide, which Jung studied extensively throughout his career. When we share our lives with pets, we create what Jung might call an energetic field between us. Years of morning greetings, evening cuddles, shared walks, and silent companionship build pathways of connection. These pathways don't instantly disappear when physical death occurs. Instead, the energy that once flowed between two physical beings shifts into new patterns within the survivor's psyche. The relationship continues, though in an altered form. Jung was fascinated by how the mind processes significant transitions. He noted that major life changes, including losses, often trigger profound psychological reactions that extend beyond simple emotion. These reactions frequently include uncanny experiences that defy conventional explanation, sensing a presence, hearing a familiar sound, or feeling guided or protected by the departed. Rather than dismissing these experiences, Jung viewed them as meaningful psychological events that help us integrate loss into our continuing life story. The deep sense of connection that persists after a pet's death might be understood through Jung's concept of the transcendent function, the psyche's natural tendency to seek wholeness by bridging conscious and unconscious experience. Our rational minds understand that our pet has died, yet something deeper continues to sense their presence. This apparent contradiction creates tension that the psyche attempts to resolve through dreams, intuitive experiences, and symbolic encounters that honor both realities. Jung recognized that when something physically disappears, it often reappears in symbolic form within the psyche. The physical cat may be gone, but the inner cat often becomes more vivid and meaningful. This isn't mere fantasy, but the psyche's way of preserving essential connections. Many pet owners report that their departed animals appear in dreams, offering comfort or guidance at critical moments. Jung might view these not as wishful thinking, but as the continuing dialogue between conscious and unconscious aspects of the relationship. Transformation rather than extinction characterizes the Jungian understanding of what happens after death. The energy invested in loving our pets doesn't simply dissipate, it finds new channels of expression. Sometimes this manifests as a heightened sensitivity to animals in general, or perhaps an unexpected urge to help other creatures in need. The love once directed toward a specific being expands, finding new forms through which to flow. Jung's concept of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that defy causal explanation, often becomes particularly relevant after a pet's death. Many people report uncanny occurrences, a bird that appears repeatedly at significant moments, a butterfly that seems to follow them, or finding objects associated with their pet in unexpected places. From a Jungian perspective, these experiences represent moments when the inner psychological reality and the outer physical world momentarily align, revealing patterns of connection that transcend ordinary understanding. If you feel ready to explore your inner world on a deeper level, to reconnect with the parts of yourself you've ignored or forgotten, take a look at the Sim Method ebook. It's a short, practical guide designed to help you balance your shadow and your light in just a few minutes a day. You'll find the link in the first pinned comment below. What makes these experiences so compelling is their spontaneous nature. They can't be forced or manufactured, yet they arrive with a sense of profound rightness and meaning that provides genuine comfort. Jung observed that such moments often have a numinous quality, a sense of encountering something mysterious yet deeply significant that speaks directly to our innermost being. The grief we feel for lost pets is legitimate and sometimes overwhelming, precisely because the connection is genuine. Jung emphasized the importance of honoring grief rather than rushing to get over it. By allowing ourselves to fully experience the pain of separation, we paradoxically open ourselves to sensing the continuing bond that transcends physical presence. This isn't about clinging to the past, but recognizing that true connections leave permanent imprints on who we are and how we understand the world. From a Jungian perspective, saying goodbye to a pet isn't the end of the relationship, but rather a transition into a new phase, one that continues to unfold within us through memory, dream, and the subtle ways our companions have forever changed how we move through the world. Dreams have always been doorways to our deepest feelings. When we lose a pet, these nighttime journeys often take on special importance. Jung believed that dreams aren't random brain activity, but meaningful messages from our unconscious mind, a natural healing process that helps us make sense of what our waking minds struggle to accept. After a pet dies, many people report vivid dreams about their animal companions. Sometimes these dreams feel more real than reality itself. The fur feels just as soft, the familiar weight against your leg just as comforting. Jung would see these not as cruel tricks of the mind, but as important psychological experiences that help bridge the gap between loss and healing. These dreams allow us to maintain contact with what we've loved, while gradually adapting to a new reality. Jung discovered that dreams often communicate through symbols, images that carry deeper meaning than words can express. The symbols that appear in dreams after a pet's death can reveal much about our internal process. A dog running free in a beautiful meadow might represent our unconscious understanding that our companion is no longer suffering. A cat returning home in a dream might symbolize the enduring connection that transcends physical separation. These images speak directly to the heart in a language older than words. Jung noticed that dreams following a significant loss often follow patterns. Early dreams might simply recreate everyday moments with our pets, the morning walk, the feeding ritual, the quiet evenings together. As grief progresses, dreams sometimes shift to show our pets in transitional states, perhaps at a threshold between worlds, or transforming into other forms of life, like butterflies or birds. These dream sequences mirror the inner work of accepting loss while preserving connection. The timing of these dreams often seems meaningful. Many people report that their most vivid dreams about departed pets come at moments of particular need, during times of stress, important decisions, or anniversaries of the loss. Jung might see these patterns as evidence that the psychic connection continues to function, offering comfort and guidance when most needed. The bond adapts to our changing circumstances rather than remaining frozen in time. Dreams about deceased pets sometimes include messages or communication that feels surprisingly clear. A dog might appear in a dream and lead its person to something important. A cat might simply sit and purr, creating a feeling of peace that lingers into waking life. These experiences, while deeply personal, share common elements across cultures and time periods. Jung found such patterns significant, evidence of shared psychological processes that help us integrate loss into our ongoing life story. For Jung, paying attention to dreams wasn't about escaping reality, but about connecting with deeper truths that our conscious minds might miss. He encouraged his patients to record dreams, reflect on their personal meanings, and notice how dream images evolved over time. This practice can be especially healing after losing a pet. The dream journal becomes a continuing conversation with parts of ourselves that remain connected to our animal companions. Jung observed that dream symbols often appear in artwork, mythology, and religious traditions across cultures. The butterfly emerging from the chrysalis, the bird soaring skyward, the flowing river that changes form but never ends. These universal symbols of transformation appear in both ancient texts and modern dreams about deceased pets. This connection to age-old wisdom traditions can provide comfort, placing our personal loss within a larger framework of meaning. What makes dream experiences so powerful after pet loss is their ability to engage multiple levels of consciousness simultaneously. In dreams, we might understand intellectually that our pet has died while emotionally experiencing their continued presence. This paradox creates a bridge between rational understanding and heart knowledge, helping us move toward a more integrated perspective that honors both the reality of loss and the continuing bond. Jung emphasized that dreams aren't trying to deceive us about reality, but rather to complement our waking understanding with deeper wisdom. Dreams about departed pets don't deny death, but transform our relationship with it, showing how physical ending doesn't erase the imprint a soul has made upon another soul. These night visions remind us that love creates connections that operate according to different laws than those governing physical matter. The dream world offers a unique space where relationships can continue to evolve even after physical death. Many people report that dream encounters with their pets change over time, reflecting their own healing journey. Initial dreams of sadness or distress gradually shift toward peaceful reunions or images of the pet thriving in new environments. This natural progression mirrors the psyche's movement toward resolution and integration, a process Jung trusted as inherently wise and healing. That feeling that your dog is still lying at the foot of your bed, or that your cat just brushed against your leg, these experiences are remarkably common after pet loss. Jung developed the concept of archetypes, universal patterns or models that exist within the collective unconscious. While he didn't specifically identify a companion animal archetype, his framework helps explain the profound and lasting impact our pets have on our psyches. The companion archetype represents our deep human need for loyal, unconditional presence. Pets embody this archetype perfectly. They offer companionship without judgment, affection without agenda, and presence without demand. When the physical animal dies, the archetypal energy they embodied doesn't simply disappear. Instead, it continues to influence our inner world in powerful ways, sometimes creating the sense that they remain physically present. Jung believed that archetypes shape how we experience reality. The companion archetype, once activated by years of relationship with a beloved pet, becomes a living force within us. This explains why so many people report sensing their deceased pet's presence during times of stress or loneliness. The archetype responds to our emotional need, bringing forward the essence of what our companion represented in our lives. Our pets often see us through major life transitions, from childhood to adulthood, through relationships beginning and ending, through moves and career changes. Jung recognized that figures who accompany us through thresholds take on special significance in our psychological lives. They become inner guides who continue to influence us long after physical separation. Your cat, who saw you through difficult times, becomes an internal presence that still offers comfort when life grows challenging. The sense of continuing presence isn't limited to feeling or hearing our pets. Many people report meaningful coincidences after pet loss, finding a feather that reminds them of their bird, seeing a rainbow appear on the anniversary of their dog's passing, or encountering animals of the same species at significant moments. Jung coined the term synchronicity for these meaningful coincidences that seem to connect inner and outer realities. Rather than dismissing them as mere chance, he saw them as moments when the veil between different levels of existence temporarily thins. Jung noticed that important relationships don't simply end with physical separation. Instead, they continue to evolve within us through what he called the intrapsychic dialogue, an ongoing conversation between our conscious mind and the internalized presence of significant others. The relationship with a deceased pet often continues through this inner dialogue. We might find ourselves mentally telling them about our day or asking what they would think about a decision. This isn't delusion, but a natural psychological process that preserves connection. Our animal companions often access parts of ourselves that human relationships don't reach. They connect with our playful side, our nurturing instincts, our capacity for wordless understanding. Jung emphasized the importance of these elements of personality that often get overlooked in our rational, verbal world. When a pet dies, these awakened aspects of self don't disappear. The playfulness, tenderness, or peaceful presence they helped us discover remains available, a lasting gift from the relationship. Jung understood that meaningful encounters leave permanent imprints on the psyche. Just as a river carves channels through earth, our relationships with pets create pathways in our inner landscape. Water continues to flow along these channels even when the original relationship changes form. This explains why the sense of connection often persists years or even decades after a pet's death. The internal pathways remain open, allowing energy to continue flowing in familiar patterns. The companion archetype also explains why some people feel guided or protected by their deceased pets. Jung observed that archetypal energies often manifest as a sense of benevolent presence during difficult times. The loyal protection a dog offered in life might continue as an intuitive sense of being watched over. The peaceful presence a cat provided might return during moments of anxiety as an inexplicable calm. These experiences reflect the continuing activity of the companion archetype within the psyche. Jung believed that what we call reality emerges from the interaction between outer events and inner perception. The strong sense that our pets remain with us exists at this intersection. Neither purely subjective imagination nor objective fact, but a lived psychological reality that provides genuine comfort and continuity. This middle ground between literal and metaphorical understanding offers a more nuanced way to honor what persists beyond physical death. The companion archetype connects us not only to our individual pets, but to the timeless human experience of bonding with animals. This relationship stretches back to our earliest ancestors and appears in every human culture. When we feel the continuing presence of our own beloved companions, we participate in this ancient and universal connection, a bond that Jung might say exists not just in personal history, but in the collective memory of our species. Have you ever noticed how certain animals seem to appear throughout human history, carrying similar meanings across different cultures? The wise owl, the loyal dog, the mysterious cat. These animal figures show up in stories, art and dreams across the world. Jung discovered what he called the collective unconscious, a deeper layer of the mind that all humans share, filled with universal patterns and images that he called archetypes. This shared psychological inheritance helps explain the special role animals play in our lives and our continuing connection with them after death. Unlike Freud, who focused mainly on personal experiences, Jung recognized that some symbols and patterns appear universally, suggesting they arise from something deeper than individual memory. Animals feature prominently in this collective layer of consciousness. From ancient cave paintings to modern children's books, certain animals consistently embody specific qualities and energies. Dogs represent loyalty and protection. Cats embody mystery and independence. Horses symbolize freedom and power. These aren't random associations, but expressions of deep psychological patterns. When we bring an animal into our home, something remarkable happens. This individual creature, this specific cat with her unique markings, or this particular dog with his special habits, becomes both a personal companion and a living connection to these ancient archetypal energies. Your pet exists simultaneously as your unique friend, and as part of this larger pattern that has connected humans and animals throughout our evolution. This dual nature helps explain why the bond feels so profound and why it doesn't simply vanish at death. Jung observed that the collective unconscious doesn't operate according to normal rules of time and space. It exists in what he sometimes called the eternal now, a dimension of experience where past, present, and future overlap. This helps explain why the sense of connection with departed pets often transcends ordinary understanding. In the realm of the collective unconscious, the relationship continues to evolve even after physical separation. Dreams, intuitive feelings, and meaningful coincidences become the language through which this continuing bond speaks. Animals live primarily in the present moment, fully embodied, directly experiencing life without the filters of abstract thought. Jung valued this quality, seeing it as a wholeness that modern humans often lose touch with in our word-focused, future-oriented lives. Our pets become teachers who help us reconnect with this natural wisdom. Even after they die, the lessons they embodied continue working within us, offering a pathway back to more authentic being. Their physical form may be gone, but their gift of presence remains active in our lives. Jung noted that significant dreams often feature animals as messengers or guides. After a pet dies, they frequently appear in dreams, sometimes offering comfort, sometimes leading us somewhere important, sometimes simply continuing their familiar behaviors. Jung would see these not as wishful thinking, but as communications from deeper layers of consciousness. The collective unconscious uses these animal images to help us process grief and maintain connection in a different form. These dream experiences often carry a quality of realness that ordinary dreams don't share. The ancient practice of animal guides or totems exists across cultures, from Native American traditions to ancient Egyptian beliefs. Jung found these patterns significant, not as superstition, but as expressions of psychological truth. The sense that our deceased pets continue to guide or protect us taps into this ancient understanding of animals as spiritual companions who move between worlds. The individual bond with your specific dog or cat becomes part of this larger pattern of human-animal connection that transcends physical limitations. Jung discovered that meaningful relationships create what he called a psychoid reality, neither purely physical nor purely mental, but existing at the intersection where inner and outer worlds meet. The bond with a pet creates this kind of reality. When the physical animal dies, the relationship continues in this psychoid dimension, sometimes manifesting as synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that feel purposeful rather than random. Finding a feather that reminds you of your bird on an important day, or repeatedly encountering animals of the same species at significant moments, reflects this continuing connection. Animals often appear as important symbols during major life transitions. Jung noted that these threshold experiences, births, deaths, beginnings, endings, often activate archetypal patterns from the collective unconscious. Your pet who accompanied you through important life chapters becomes associated with these deeper patterns. This explains why memories and feelings about deceased pets often surface strongly during new transitions. The psyche naturally draws on these established connections to help navigate current challenges. Jung believed that consciousness extends beyond the individual human mind. He was open to the possibility that animals possess their own form of consciousness, different from, but not lesser than human awareness. This perspective offers comfort after pet loss. The essence that animated your beloved companion continues as part of the greater field of consciousness. The specific form changes, but the essential energy remains within the interconnected web of being that Jung recognized as the foundation of existence. The collective unconscious preserves patterns and connections across time. Your relationship with your pet creates ripples in this collective field, changing not just your individual life, but contributing to the evolving relationship between humans and animals. In this way, nothing meaningful is ever truly lost. Each loving bond between person and pet becomes part of the accumulated wisdom that shapes how future generations will experience these connections. Your specific relationship becomes part of a continuing story that began with our earliest ancestors and stretches forward into the future. The journey doesn't end when our pets leave their physical bodies. Jung understood life as a continuous cycle of transformation rather than a simple linear path. He saw meaningful endings as doorways to new beginnings, not in a sentimental way, but as part of the natural rhythm of existence. This perspective offers a compassionate framework for understanding what happens after our pets die. Creating meaningful rituals after a pet dies helps bridge conscious and unconscious understanding. A simple ceremony that honors your pet, burying favorite toys, planting a tree, or creating a photo album, acknowledges both the reality of physical ending and the continuing journey of connection. These gestures speak to deeper layers of consciousness that words alone can't reach. Jung found that when we face significant loss with awareness, the very wound becomes an opening. The grief we feel after a pet dies, when fully acknowledged, gradually transforms into an expanded capacity for compassion. Our hearts don't simply heal back to their previous state, they grow larger through the process. Dreams after a pet's death often show them in states of transformation, becoming young again, shape-shifting, or moving between different landscapes. Jung would see these not as fantasy, but as glimpses of psychic reality, the continuing journey of the relationship as it moves from physical to psychological dimensions. Jung noted that meaningful coincidences, what he called synchronicities, often appear around significant transitions like death. Finding special feathers, seeing rainbows, or encountering animals that remind you of your pet at meaningful moments can be understood as times when inner and outer reality temporarily align, revealing connections that normally remain invisible. Honoring a pet's soul journey means carrying their essence forward. Your pet's playfulness, courage, or peaceful presence continues through how you embody these qualities in your own life. By consciously integrating what you loved about them, you create a living memorial more meaningful than any physical marker. The circle was one of Jung's favorite symbols for wholeness. Unlike linear time that moves from past to future, Circular time encompasses all moments simultaneously. From this perspective, the bond with your pet exists within a circle that has no beginning or end, a continuing relationship that changes form but remains unbroken.